at the time, and had like the very early morning shift, opening shift. And like that morning I went in and like bent over and to pull out some milk. And my back seized up and it was like, no. And so I was like in horrible pain for the rest of the day and had to finish my shift and then go record. But I used it. It was like, that was the day that we were doing. There was one day that was just screams and grunts and growls and yells. And that happened to be the day.
That's awesome.
So it was, you know, let's do getting punched in the face. Ah, okay. Let's do falling off a cliff. Ah, getting electrocuted. Ah. So I was in a lot of pain, but I feel like it worked. It helped the performance to some extent.
That is incredible.
But yeah, it was a great job, and it was. I remember buying my first laptop with that paycheck, which was a big deal. I was very excited about. And I used to do this thing. So like, it was kind of my calling card for a while at parties and stuff to be like, so Kitana says things like, I am Kitana, loyal daughter of Shao Kahn. You two are enemies of this realm and therefore my enemies. And Mileena says things like, you will die now. So that was my shtick for a little while. It was so much fun to play the two different characters too, because like they were so, you know, two halves of the same whole, you know, but the yin and the yang and the opposites. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So after Shaolin Monks, what was your next gig? How did you kind of funnel into working professionally?
So I was living in Chicago at that time. I was doing theater. I was with the theater company. Probably around that time, shortly after the Shaolin Monks, I started to realize I'm not making any money doing theater in Chicago. And I had some friends out in LA, and one friend in particular just kept calling me all the time, like, you got to move out to LA. You got to move out to LA. And I was like, okay, fine. So in 2006, I came out here. I've been here ever since. Started doing non-union stuff, you know, little whatever kind of project I could get in. Did some like reenactment shows, like I didn't know I was pregnant. I played a 38-year-old grandmother in that show. I did a show where I was trapped in an attic with a raccoon. That one was fun. And then, so those were some of my earlier gigs. And then, yeah, just kept, you know, it's just a daily hustle, just keep going. 2015, I was able to join SAG. So that always, jobs there are just generally better, pay better anyway. Usually the content is better. So yeah, I've just been doing as much work as I can get in mostly TV. I've done a lot of different episodes of TV, couple films, and now I'm working on getting my own stuff written and produced, and made a short film a couple of years ago that was completed last year in 2021, The Good Balloon. It's my own true story. It's an 18-minute short film about a magical balloon. Yeah, and now I'm just working on trying to get some pilots made, perhaps. It's always a hustle.
Oh, we have our first question.
Okay.
Dan Aykroyd isn't in The Conners, Goofy. So someone asked, Connor, did you get to meet Dan Aykroyd? I'm assuming they mean John Goodman.
No, actually, that's a good question. I did meet John Goodman, Dan Aykroyd. So I did an episode of The Connors. Dan Aykroyd was a guest star on that episode.
Okay.
However, I did not get to meet him because they did. I don't know why it was done this way, but I guess he had very limited availability. So we did the whole taping on one. Actually, my scene was pre-taped. Then they did the live taping. I got to go to the live taping, which was amazing. But Dan Aykroyd wasn't available that day, so they had like a stand-in person for his scenes. They did the scenes, they shot them, but then they came back later and reshot his scenes. I don't know whether or not with a live audience or not, probably just taped in the studio without an audience. So I did not get to meet Dan Aykroyd, and my line got cut from the show, which was, my face is in there. I'm in it. You can see me. I get the residual checks. Thank you. But that was really actually kind of a heartbreaking scenario, because the Connors was like, it was such a dream job, and the whole experience of taping it and everything was amazing. Got to meet Sarah Gilbert and Lisa Goranson, and they were just delightful. Laurie Metcalf, like my scene was with Laurie Metcalf. She's like a hero of mine. Like I had seen her in theater at Steppenwolf in Chicago and like just adore her. Grew up watching Roseanne. Like it was always a big part of just one of the reasons I wanted to even do this. And then, but it's part of the business. Like sometimes your line gets cut.
Hear that,
It's
John? I'm sorry. You are correct that he was a guest star, but as she explained, she did not get to meet him that way. I apologize. That's good research. Also, so let's talk about Ratchet.
Yeah.
So talk to we've already talked about it, but it kind of talk to me about the experience with that. A lot of people know that Netflix and TV and regular are kind of different. Talk about your experience with Ratchet. Just yeah, expand.
Ratchet was a great experience. I had been wanting to work in that world. Like the Ryan Murphy universe is amazing, and I'd been able to audition a couple times for other projects that he produced. And then this one was just finally the one I booked. It was a wonderful experience all around, because it was just so rich with the production design was just gorgeous. Like my hair, my makeup, my clothes, everything just felt like we were really in that time, like we were all transported back to the 40s. It was a really expansive like production. Like it felt more like working on a movie than working on a TV show. Just as far as the extensiveness of the production design, the sets, the locations. It was a really long shooting schedule because they were doing so much at one time. So like I was in episode 2, shot my first day of shooting was like in early April, and then my second day of shooting wasn't until like mid-May, because there's just so much going on. But it was overall it was really great. Like Ryan Murphy is just, he directed that episode, and he's just like this presence that is, I don't even know, I'm at a loss for the word to describe it, but he's
back in that moment right now, ladies and gentlemen. She is right back in that moment.
Like it's not, I don't want to say intimidating, but it's kind of intimidating.
Let's go with imposing.
he's just a force, and he's just like really focused and really driven, but also like really collaborative with the actors and everything. It was a great experience. I did The funniest thing to me was, so if you've seen the episode, um I'm this government administrator person coming to visit the mental health facility, and they're Cynthia Nixon is giving us this tour of our new facilities and how we're going to change the world through mental health. And here's this cutting edge procedure that we're going to do. So they take us into this operating theater, and the doctor performs a lobotomy. And so my character is all shocked and dismayed. And then when they stick the knife in, I faint. And they had a stunt double for me. They're like, if you want this, we have somebody who can fall out of the chair for you. And I was like, no, I'm doing my own stunts. Thank you very much.
You heard it here, folks. Lita Lopez does her own stunts. Scoop right here, exclusive.
Yeah. Because it was just falling out of a chair. Absolutely. But I actually could have honestly gotten hurt, because there was this beautiful Art Deco building downtown LA. I don't know what the original purpose of this building was, but it had these really interesting like stacked stairs. And if you see the episode, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But it's like this little theater inside this building. And so there's these stairs going up, and we're on this one row, and I fall out of the chair, and there's a step like right behind me. And apparently I was completely unaware. So I did one take, fall out of the chair, and then I hear everybody in the crew gasp, because apparently I'd gotten like this close to bash my head on the edge of the stair, which would have been terrible, would have shut everything down. But it all worked out okay. And then they're like, okay, you got to fall forward more. And then they put padding on the step and everything, and it all worked out fine. But yeah, that was my experience with my one stunt.
That's awesome. So you mentioned Cynthia Nixon. Did you get to meet Sarah Paulson?
Yes. So Cynthia Nixon I worked with for 2 days, and then Sarah Paulson I worked with on the second day. They were both just really kind and just wonderful, sweet people. Really, it was a really welcoming set, and I hope I get to work with all of these people again. Sarah Paulson, I was mentioning earlier, it was the day, so that day we shot was the day after the Game of Thrones finale, like series finale, and so everybody was talking about it, and like she was singing the theme song like all day long, just like just having a great time with. She had loved the finale. Everyone thought it was controversial. I was fine with it. She was fine with it. I felt like, all right, we're on the same page. But that's a whole other conversation, the Game of Thrones.
And that's where we divert. I read the books. I was so upset. I was so upset. I've read all the way through number 5, so it's like 5 million pages.
I tried reading the books, and maybe I'll try again. I just found them so dry. Like the books were just really dense and dry. I was like, ugh. I think I read all of the
like a Popeye's biscuit. It's purely information.
Yeah.
I
think I finished the first one, and I bought the whole set. I got a full box set. But I didn't get through. I might have started the second one, but yeah, I'll go back to them, I guess.
It picks up in the third one a little bit more, because just like season 1 and 2 kind of set up everything, and then 3 just kind of, it's exactly like the books.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
It's phenomenal. But back to Lita. So let's let's see. Have you gotten a part that has been one of those things where you're just like, I don't know if I can actually do this? Or do you audition specifically for things that you're like, oh, I can knock this out of the park? Or do you feel like you challenge yourself, or do you feel like you kind of try to stay in your wheelhouse?
I love a challenge. Like the hardest part about this business is getting the audition in the first place. And so most of the time, the auditions that I get are going to be for something that I'm really pretty suited for. It's rare that it's like I'm completely wrong for it. I did have one audition recently, a few months ago, that was one of the toughest auditions that I've had to do because it was so much work. It was like 16 pages
Oh,
of
wow.
dialogue, and like dialogue, like monologues, and like it was a lot of work. Um, and I felt like I wasn't physically the right fit. I was like, I don't think they're gonna go for me, but I'm gonna do the work anyway and just put it out there and do my best work. Um, didn't get the part because I haven't heard anything. It was 3 months ago, so I'm pretty sure I didn't get it. You never get that follow up. But it was really, it got me back into like just really enjoying the process too, of like, this is a challenging, there's like a lot of different, there are 4 different scenes, and each one was kind of a whole story within itself. You know, each one had a different thing that we're dealing with, emotion wise and story wise. So it was I felt like I wasn't gonna get it anyway, so I might as well just go all out and go crazy with it. And I'm proud of the work that I did. But yeah, I guess I would love to get more opportunities like that that are really challenging. And it's just a matter of time as far as most careers go. I think it's all about persistence and patience, that that kind of work will come, because a lot of the stuff that I get the opportunities at currently are still the things like the Connors where the line gets cut. But little by little, I'm getting more and more challenging opportunities.
It seems like you're up for that challenge, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So we had another peanut gallery question. What was it like working on Angie Tribeca?
Oh, that was really fun. Thank you for that question. Um, I remember the
Oh boy.
weird thing about that, it's just the weird things that happen on set. So
Absolutely.
in that scene, so I was this school teacher in this classroom. Andrew Tribeca is just such a weird show. It's just quirky and strange. And so Rashida Jones was like undercover as this male drama teacher, just completely absurd situation. And she gives this great speech, and then to inspire the kids, and then you hear like slow clapping, and then it cuts to me, and I'm just this teacher in the back at a chalkboard knocking the erasers together. So that was my thing, is I'm just clapping with these chalkboard erasers. Well, when you clap with chalkboard erasers, lots of chalk dust flies into the air. So we did a take. I did my thing. They cut. We go again. Rashida Jones is doing her big speech, and then I feel like the chalk in my throat. I'm like, don't cough, don't cough. And I could like, and then it just became this hacking, horrible cough where like they had to cut. I had to run out of the room and go grab some water. Like I'm choking on this chalk dust, tears streaming out of my face. I think we had to even take like a 10-minute break just so I could get myself back together. Which also always feels, like in those circumstances, I'm just there to support the lead, and then you just feel like, I don't know, mortified that like here I am ruining the take and like causing trouble. But other than that, it was a great experience.
A great story.
She was very nice to work with. Bobby Cannavale was there as well. He was also very, very fun and friendly guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have more questions coming in. How was it to work with Jonah Hill and Miles Teller in War Dogs? I wanted to save this for a little bit later, but one of my friends, Dragon, is in here, and he like, of course, does his research.
Thank you for that.
That movie by itself was gigantic.
It was pretty huge. That was a big. Yes. That's how. Yeah, like Ratchet felt like a War Dogs kind of thing as far as just the production value, the budget, like everything that goes into it was a huge production. Todd Phillips, the director, was amazing. He was so wonderful and kind and supportive. I remember watching, it was actually a really great acting lesson on that set. As far as like film acting, because I come from the theater world, and it's been a long journey for me to hone my big personality, my big theater, hey, pull that big theater personality and focus it down to where it works for film. Because it's just such a completely different medium and style of acting. And so watching Jonah Hill in particular, I was like, he's not doing anything. This is an Academy Award winning actor, and he's just talking. What is happening? And that's how it feels when you're there in person. I got in trouble at one point because I'm just serving. I just come up to the table and ask them what they want, and Miles Teller orders coffee, and then I walk off. And so I'm supposed to walk off this way and go behind the counter, but like this one take, I just left, and I thought I was off camera, and so I turned around to just watch the rest of the scene and to watch Jonah and Miles work. And oh god, I'm blanking on the other guy's name that was in the scene. He was great. Somebody tell me who it was. It'll come to me in a minute. But so anyway, so I turn around to watch the scene, and then I see the camera guy like waving wildly at me. Get out of the shot. Get out of the shot. And I'm like, oh fuck, I'm still in the shot. I had to go dive behind the deli counter, diner counter. Because it was really, because I was just like, I gotta figure out what he's doing. But the truth of it is like, it seems like when you're there in person, it seems like he's not doing anything. But then when you watch that scene on film, see the final product, I was like, oh my God, he's doing everything. Because it's just so, he especially is just really intense, and just, I don't know, it's just all in the eyes, it's all in the voice. It's just really, he really is an amazing actor. He's pretty great, but yet makes it seem effortless.
Yep.
And yeah, it was, so that was a really, really great learning experience for me. And learn to get the hell out of the shot.
Absolutely. So one other person popped in and said, no need to act all the way to the balcony on film.
No, you do not have to. No, you're talking to this thing that's right here. You're not speaking to the 12th row. Yeah,
absolutely. It's so true. Another one, do you find it more challenging in a fun way or an overwhelming way when you play multiple characters like you did in Chicken Town? Or, or does it feel the same as if you were acting a single role?
Oh, I'm so glad that somebody found Chicken Town. Thank you, guys. I loved that experience. It's similar to Mortal Kombat, and I wish that I had more. I love voiceover work, and I would love to do more of it. So anyone out there that can hire me for voiceover, please, make a note. Um, Chicken Town was this really fantastic animated show that didn't it was recorded here, but I think all of the animation was actually done in France, and it only really aired in France and a couple other countries in Europe, possibly even I think somewhere in Asia. I don't recall exactly, but it is available now. A lot of the episodes are available on YouTube. So go check them out. So yeah, I don't even remember how many characters, but I loved that opportunity because I am a character actor and I love to be able to do voices and to um, try different things, and especially voiceover acting is a whole other, going back to theater versus film, like voice acting is 10 times bigger than what you think you have to be. Um, it's a whole other art form in itself. So no, I mean, it wasn't overwhelming because we only did one part at a time. I didn't have to have conversations with myself. Like you record the lines for this character, then you record the lines for that character. So it's not like having to flip back and forth um, between the two things at the same time. Um, and we had a really great director on that project who, because sometimes it would be like, oh, I'm slipping into this voice, and be like, oh, give me that Polly, she's really hard and scary. So it'd be like, okay, yeah, back to Polly. Please go check out Chicken Town, anyone, because it was so much fun. It was ridiculous. I played this woman, Polly, who has this chicken coop in her backyard. Played her. And she was really, in a way, like she kind of feels a lot like me. Or just, I don't know, I really related to that character more than to a chicken. But she's kind of the villain, but she still loves her chickens, but she's always threatening to chop their heads off if they don't lay enough eggs. So I played her, and then I played Kelly, who was one of the chickens, who was a southern fried chicken. I played she was a guest star. I did a dog who was trying to seduce one of the chickens to leave the coop and come off with her on adventures. I did a weasel. Yeah, lots of different voices on that. That was a wonderful project. I had a lot
Walking
of
demo right there, right? So we had someone chime in. Was it Dave? Was it Kevin Pollak that directed this?
Yes. Thank you, Kevin Pollak. Yes. Oh my God, thank you.
Excellent.
He was great. He was really nice too. I think he was one of the producers on the film, and he was very, very lovely to work with.
Awesome. So, are there any other questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna jump in with my own. Let's just, since you said you've done theater so much, what shows can you, like, your top 3 shows that
Top
you
three
did?
theater shows.
Top 3 theater shows that you've been in.
Okay. One was in college. A couple were in college actually that they were great roles. I got to be one of the witches in Macbeth. So that was a ton of fun.
Absolutely.
Loved that. That was like my final senior year last show of the year. And then also I got to do the Children's Hour. I played Martha Doby in the Children's Hour, which is, I'd love to play that role again now as more of an adult too. I don't know if you're familiar with the Children's Hour, but it's about, it was written, I believe, during like the McCarthyism era. So it was kind of a comment on communism, but also it's very relevant to now and it could be redone again. So the premise is there's these two teachers in an all girls boarding school, and one of the girls is just this troublemaker, bad seed girl, and she gets in trouble for something, and so she retaliates by spreading the rumor, telling her grandmother is like a big donor for the school, head of the board of the school or whatever. She tells her grandmother that she saw the two female teachers being intimate with each other. And it's really interesting, like they never say there, I don't think ever in the play, like the word lesbian is never spoken. They're never even specific about what she saw. It's just this rumor. But it destroys them because one of them is I don't remember that character's name, but the other, so I was Martha, the other woman, she's like engaged to be married. She's very, very, very straight. And it just destroys both their reputations. But then Martha has this beautiful scene at the end when it's like, it's kind of all over and the school is just destroyed basically, and their lives are kind of destroyed. And Martha confesses that I never really knew it, but she was right. I am in love with you. I've always been in love with you. I'm getting like chills talking about it. She was like, you know, you never think about it until somebody says it. And then I had to question it, and it was true. So she confesses her love to her co-worker,
Don't cry.
best friend, and then she goes, and then she leaves the room and she shoots herself. So it's
Spoiler alert.
Scary. It's an old play. It's been a movie. I think Audrey Hepburn and Shirley MacLaine were in a movie of it back in the day. But it's just a beautiful story just about how, you know, like, mind your own damn business. How dare you?
And we need that right now. We need that right now.
We really do. Yeah, like it's a tragic story. And you know, just one little girl lied and destroyed a whole bunch of lives with one lie. So that was one of my favorite roles I've ever played in theater. And then I would have to say, like, I did improv out here in LA for a long time.
It must be so much fun out in LA because there's so many people that are just a step away from just blowing up, and it's golly.
Yeah, just that experience. Yes, like, you know, I can't speak to, it was the one show I did on October 14th 2015, but like the whole experience of I would do a weekly show for 10 years. I did a weekly show, and I just love that experience of just being on stage, having a live audience, making stuff up on the spot. We used to do we did like short form improv, that's like whose line is it anyway style, but my group, we always did a musical 10-minute musical thing at the end of every show. So that was just, doing that alone was, I loved just making up songs out of the blue. What are you gonna do? That was some of my favorite work that I've done. Yeah,
that's awesome
for sure.
So, got another question. What
Okay.
play or book would you like to direct, and why is it Taming of the Shrew?
Who asked that?
Uh,
Somebody must know me.
it's a Stratico.
Stratico. I don't. Tell me who you are, Stratico. Well, somebody looked me up because yes, the Taming of the Shrew is my obsession. Um, it has been my obsession for since 1995, when I spent a semester of college in England, and it was in the class, the Shakespeare class that I took. We studied 6 plays total. We did 3 tragedies, 3 comedies, and so we got to really get in depth with them. And it was just during that class that I was like, this is not a comedy. This play is not comedy. And it became this big debate and discussion. And a lot of, there's a lot of debate and discussion about the Taming of the Shrew. For anyone who's unfamiliar with it, the basic premise, as quickly as I can, there are 2 daughters, these sisters. One is super sweet and lovely and perfect and pretty and quiet and gentle. Everybody in town wants to marry her. She's the younger daughter, Bianca. And then there's Katharina, the shrew, who is loud and opinionated and does not want to get married. But father decrees that nobody can marry Bianca until Catherine has been married. So then all of the men who want to marry Bianca band together to find someone to marry Catherine, who ends up being this guy, Petruchio, who is, in my opinion, a gaslighting abuser. So there's a lot of debate on whether or not it's a love story or if they're in love at the end. And oh, yes, he does all these things, but it's out of love. And he's making her a better person, blah, blah, blah. Don't get me started. I will go on for hours. But so back then, I was just so adamant about it. My teacher was amazing. She was like, all right, this is going to be our final class project. You guys are going to do the last scene of the Taming of the Shrew. And we're going to do it 2 ways. This person, you're going to direct the comedy version, and Lita, you get to direct the tragedy version. And then I got to play Catherine in both versions. So that also, I should say, is one of my favorite roles I've ever done. And to get to do it in this big, beautiful, great hall of this amazing English manor was just like a rapturous experience. So I've been obsessed with it since then. And I have a YouTube vlog that I launched a couple months ago called The Shrew Review, in which I'm going to break down every reason why the Taming of the Shrew is in fact a tragedy. And I took Aristotle's Poetics, and I have applied Aristotle's Poetics, which is a 5,000-year-old, no, how many, 2,000-year-old treatise on what is tragedy. And every requirement that Aristotle has for tragedy, you can find in the Taming of the Shrew. So I've written a big dissertation about it. I'm doing this vlog to talk about it. And yes, I absolutely very much want to direct a TV version of the Taming of the Shrew.
Yes. We know it'd be the tragedy version.
The tragedy version. And there will still, and we can find moments of comedy. There are moments of levity in anything, and comedy is tragedy plus time, right? But the basic things about the way that everybody treats Catherine is tragic. And then all of the things that Petruchio does to her are abuse, and they are gaslighting. It's crazy to me that the term gaslighting was only coined in the 20th century, based on a play, and then the movie that came after it, when it could have been that term, if people had been more aware and receptive to a woman's plight and journey, the term, the act of it itself has always been in existence. People have always been doing this to each other. And if people had been more aware, like the term could be sun mooning, based on the scene when Petruchio insists that the sun is the moon, and he forces Catherine to say that, like to go against her reality. Like she knows that this is the truth. That's the sun. I know it's the sun, but we're not going to go any further down the road until you agree with me and say it's the moon. And she finally breaks and says it, and he's like, what are you, crazy? So that's gaslighting. Mm-hmm. That is 1000% exactly what gaslighting is. So that's just a little bit about how I feel about that play. I think it's a brilliant play. Like if you look at it with the fact that she's being forced, as she says, I must forsooth be forced to give my hand opposed against my heart. She does not want to get married. If you just accept that instead of trying to pretend, oh, she doesn't really mean it, she's just being prideful, then it's actually really amazing, way ahead of its time feminist treatise. It's freaking amazing. So yeah, that's one of my major goals right now, is to produce that.
Honestly, that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Thank you, whoever asked that.
Absolutely. So yeah, Stratico, we need some information, sir or madam. Have you ever watched the episode of Moonlighting that is based on Taming of the Shrew?
I have. It's been a long time. That's on my list of things to do to find that again. I'm sure it's on YouTube. I watched it at the time that it was on, which shows how old I am. But I need to go back and watch that again, and I will. And it's on my list to an episode I'll do sooner or later is about 10 things I hate about you. I'll talk about that.
Yeah. So funny. John Fincher 6 says season 3. It's called Atomic Shakespeare. That way, easier to find it.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. 10 things I hate about you. Another. A lot of people don't realize. Shakespeare.
Yeah.
150%.
And the difference with that, like that really, they do a nice job of actually making that a romantic comedy, but Heath Ledger's character does not do all of the same things that Petruchio does.
Not at all.
He does not gaslight her or starve her or deprive her of sleep.
Don't let Lita Lopez catch you taming the shrew out there. She will come and get you. She's the shrew police.
You will die now.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So, do we have any more questions, or are we going to move on again? John, I know you got another question in your back pocket. You've been killing it today. And Stradico. That's.
It's not ringing a bell, but maybe I got to look at my Instagram people.
Gotcha. So, Maria, we did talk about it already. I'll let her do a quick synopsis, like a quick recap. Maria asked how I was working with Sarah Paulson and Ratchet.
Amazing. She was just really lovely and just beautiful, sweet, warm, open person. I tend to be very reserved and a little bit shy on set when I'm working with a big star. Like, I'm not going to go up and get all up in anybody's face and ask them questions. Like, I will kind of wait for them to approach me or talk to me. Which, like, Cynthia Nixon was amazing of that. Like, we were sitting in this waiting room for the longest time, and like she just started conversations with me, which was really lovely. I didn't quite have the opportunity to interact with Sarah as much. And I wasn't gonna bug her, but I sit back and observe, and just kind of drink it in. And everything about her is just lovely. She's just a very sweet person.
So, Maria, if you want to, you can actually rewind and watch this VOD. It'll be sitting on YouTube as well as here in Twitch. You can go back and look and do all the things as much as you want. Dr. Lita Lopez says, "How about, or what about Honeybee?"
Oh, that's my brother. Hi. Hi, Delano.
Sorry, we have a Delano district here in Wichita, so I'm indoctrinated.
That's okay. It's so the Honeybee is a pilot script that I've written, that's hoping to get produced at some point. We don't have no new developments to report at this time. I did a reading of it. I did a live Zoom reading of it a few months ago, or God, almost like 6 months ago now, I think. That it is recorded, and I may put that out at some point. It was on YouTube for a little while, but it's kind of under wraps right now, but I might put out some clips from it you can go to my website and learn more about some of my projects, litalopez.com. But yeah, the Honeybee is about, I'll give you the log line. So a devoted auntie, her tween nieces, their mess of a mother, and an enabling granny struggle to jumpstart their broken down lives, leaning on each other in a very special sports car. So the sports car is the Honeybee. It's a Datsun B210 limited edition Honeybee. This is a script I wrote specifically for an actress that was in my short, who was in The Good Balloon. So I wrote it for Sonia Eddy, who most people know maybe from General Hospital. She plays Nurse Epiphany on General Hospital, as well as her credits are a mile long. She's well known from a Seinfeld episode of playing the other Rebecca De Mornay in the Seinfeld episode. That's pretty well known, classic ep. So it's inspired by her, written for her, and her own love of cars that we got to talk about at one point. And she had a Datsun B210, was her first car as a teenager. So that's kind of where the whole inspiration for that script came from.
Megan says B210. I have one of those in my garage right now. Sweet.
Shut up. That's amazing. Does it run?
Does it run, Dragon? No one him, it probably does.
Yeah, that's in the script. If that becomes a series, it'll be a journey to get her car running again.
That is amazing. I love that perfect. Pick this, whoever sees this, pick this up. Come on.
Please.
No, you have to.
Thank you.
No, we'll talk. This has been awesome. It runs, but not well. It's a project car. It runs, but going over 30 miles an hour is not a thing yet. Well, you'll get it there.
Get it there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. She told me amazing stories about speeding through the hills of Northern California in her B210. So apparently they can go pretty fast if you can get it to where it's supposed to be.
That's so cool. Looks like Fortune Femistry or Femestra?
Fortune Feimster? I worked with her on Champions. Okay. Is that somebody asking about?
You said your brother.
Okay. What about, how was it to work with Fortune? She was great. She was really fun. Just everything that she seemed like, she's the kind of person that really is what she seems to be. At least my experience of her, just very affable and fun to be around, just a lot of energy, and yeah, really, really cool person.
So we've got into the hopes and dreams of doing like the Taming of the Shrew TV series, and then of course Honeybee. Give me, like, if you could do one thing that's not Taming of the Shrew and not Honeybee, give me one thing you would love to do before your career is over.
Um, well, I definitely want to be able to work on my own show, like a show that I write and produce. Um, but I'd also love to get back to the theater and do some Broadway, really, like it used to be a dream, and then I kind of, once I moved out to LA, like that just wasn't a priority or a focus anymore. But at some point, yeah, I'd love to get back on stage, and either in something new or like a classic like Children's Hour or some other great play. Yeah, yeah, I'd love to do that.
Absolutely noble. So we're gonna do 5 more minutes. If we have
Okay.
any other questions, pop back in. In the meantime, we're just gonna chit chat. So if you guys have any
Okay.
awesome questions, pop them in the chat. We'll get them to you, or we'll get them out, and then we'll figure out from there. But for now, I saw you think of Broadway, and I saw your mind kind of take off. You had a show in mind.
Um,
I think you had a show in mind.
I think I was just, I don't know, I was just sort of picturing a stage. I was a really good friend of mine from college. I was watching recently. He was in the Merry Wives of Windsor. It was one of the first things to come back when theaters were able to reopen. I think it was actually the first, because they did Shakespeare in the Park. Um, so it was outdoors. You can see it on PBS right now, Merry Wives. And so it's just kind of picturing that and picturing him on stage, on that stage. So maybe it is, I don't know, maybe it is Shakespeare. I think there is something really um, in me that is still very drawn to that, and to making Shakespeare accessible. People, I feel like a lot of audiences feel very intimidated by it, um, and maybe that's just the way it's often presented, and it's it doesn't feel like real people talking, but it can be. And they did a great job in the Merry Wives. They did a little bit of adaptation, I think, to make it even more accessible. But yeah, I think I love the language, and then making that the study of the language to really understand what's being said, and then how do you then communicate that so that the audience can understand what's being said, is such a challenge. That yeah, I think that's where I'd like to go. Yeah.
I like it. So someone popped in. I can't say their name. That other blank starts with an S, but they said Linktr.ee.
That's what I used to go by back in high school, and so that might be someone I know. Hello.
Awesome, awesome.
So yes, I was Lita Lopez for a very long time. I've dropped the E now, but that's hello, whoever that is. Good to thank you for being here.
Absolutely. So let's see. We're still waiting for questions, but so we didn't actually talk hardly at all anything gaming wise.
Yeah.
Tell people, not everybody who does voice acting for games is into the game. You said you went back and watched a couple things.
Yes.
So tell me about how it is to be an actor in a game that doesn't necessarily game.
I want to know more actually about how the gamers feel, and like I'm so honored and touched right now to be like invited into the fandom, because I always was kind of like, I don't know how, if this was popular when it came out, but are people still interested in this game? Does anyone still talk about it?
People still play it, Lita. People still play Shaolin Monks. There's a Twitch streamer out here somewhere in the universe that plays Shaolin Monks on Twitch.
I love that, and I would love to know how they feel about the performance, because I was watching a walkthrough last night and earlier this week, and I'm being overly critical of like, oh god, I would have done that. I don't believe that didn't sound, you could do that better. Like, I'm like, oh, if I could do it again, I would do it so much better now.
Ever the professional.
Yeah. But I remember I saw a few years ago, it sort of seems to cycle back around where it kind of pops up. I don't even know how I came across it, but I did find like somebody's videos on who was the best Kitana. I was not ranked the best Kitana, I don't think. I was like 2 or 3. That's fine. But I want to know also kind of, I'd love to know from people what these characters mean to them too, because I know that these are two like
important characters,
well-known classic iconic characters. I never particularly got into that kind of game. I'm more of an Animal Crossing kind of
fair
game
enough.
person.
Absolutely.
So like the fighting, and it's not necessarily my thing.
Absolutely.
So I never quite got into that game. But yeah, I would just love to know what these characters mean to the people who are really huge fans.
Gotcha.
If anyone has comments, I'd love to hear them.
Way to lead into chat. Way to put it there. If anyone ever questions Lita's professionalism, we're gonna clip this and we're gonna be like, bam, she belongs on the web, the streams, the TV shows, all of it. Professional, absolute professional.
Thank you.
So, if you could be any character in a book or game, what would you be? Who would you be, and why?
I mean, I will have to say either. Oh wait, you can't see it. Either Wonder Woman or somebody in the Wonder Woman universe, or like Professor McGonagall.
Yes. No, like a young professor. Yes.
I would love to be, yeah.
That's awesome. I like
or
that.
Even or on the flip side of that, like a Dolores Umbridge.
I was
like,
just gonna say it. I didn't.
Because that oh my god, Imelda Staunton. I mean, that performance.
She's so nice. She's such a nice person. She was able to just.
Yeah.
Viciousness.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Dragon says we're gonna need to start Lita a Twitch channel. She's a natural. There we go. You can just play Animal Crossing on it. There you go.
Okay, maybe I will. It's been a long time. I know I need to go water my flowers and weed, and I'm sure there are roaches in my house right now because I haven't been able to be on in a while. So like my island needs some help for sure. Maybe.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Okay, guys. Last minute warning. Any questions? Get them in quick. We're gonna let Lita get back to her life. You know, she's got other stuff to do besides sit here and talk to us all day.
I'm having a great time. Thank you for having me.
Hey, it is an absolute pleasure. No, this has been incredible. Maybe when she hit it big again, we'll have you back and we'll talk about your Honeybee TV show or Netflix series, or we'll talk about your new only on Hulu, exclusively on Hulu, Taming of the Shrew short series as well.
Okay, let's do it.
If you could give advice to people who want to start voice acting, how did you get over your fear of it? So basically, if you had advice to get over the fear of voice acting or kind of getting yourself out there, how would you tell people to get past that?
I think just practice. Start on your own. You could just get your phone out, record some stuff, find even like, if you don't have scripts on hand, I'm sure you can Google a bunch of scripts and find them, but even, watch whatever show or game that you love, transcribe the script, and then just practice. Just have fun with it. I think, you know, one of the beauty of voice acting is that it is, it's not about what you look like. It's not about your body. A lot of games now, they do body motion capture, and that's a whole other thing. But it's just about having fun with the voice and really digging deep to communicate. So just find some scripts and record on your own and start practicing. And then, I mean, there's a ton of information out there about making a demo reel and stuff like that. But you don't need a huge setup. Like, you could get started with a cardboard box and a good microphone, and you cover your cardboard box with towels or blankets to block out the sound. You put your microphone in there, plug it into your computer. You know, you just want to have a good sound quality, and just start playing around and having fun with it. You know, a lot of the difficulties of being an actor, especially for women, is there's so much obsession and attention paid to your appearance. Well, you have freedom as a voice actor to be anybody. So just have fun with it. Play around, like, try a weird voice, you know. I've always wanted to do, I've auditioned a bunch of times for like little kid characters. Like, I really want to play a little kid character. I don't know why I can't get cast as that, but you know, have fun with just doing the voices. Like, yeah, just try it. Don't let anything hold you back.
Everybody, round of applause. Absolute legend, Lita Lopez. Can I just say how excellent, just an absolute pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
you for having me.
We'll have you anytime. Guys, make sure you check out Lita Lopez. She's on Instagram. She's on Twitter. She has her own webpage, litalopez.com. Absolute legend. Absolute professional. Once again, round of applause. We love you. Thank you again.
And round of applause for you too, Brandon. You're an amazing interviewer. This was a ton of fun. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate the compliment, but star attraction. All right, guys, we're gonna rate JG 603. This is Twitch. We rate our friends. We get people some views. Make sure you show them some love. Let them know who sent you. He probably doesn't even know who. He knows who I am, but he doesn't know who Clutches Maze is. So let him know who sent you. This is Brandon 2K, Lita Lopez again. We will find you on all your socials and litalopez.com.
Thank you.
I love you.
Oh, I love you too.
You're amazing. Absolute legend.
Thank you so much.
No, I hope somebody sees this and just goes absolutely insane. And goes, we need to do this, and this. Seriously, don't ever give up. Don't ever give up on your stuff, because it's amazing. Don't let anybody tell you it's crap, ever.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I need that.
No, I mean it. It was so great to talk to you. We will stay in touch.
Yes, please.
Talk to Alexi for me.
I will. I will
get him in. I would love to talk to him.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.